What's up, guys? Today I want to share a house that I purchased without having to qualify for a loan. Yes, that's right. I didn't have to bring any money, any credit. I didn't have to provide any personal information or taxes to be able to buy this house with a fixed rate loan for the next 30 years. Interesting, I know. This is actually one of my favorite houses that we use as a group home, and I wanted to share with you what the seller had to say about us in the transaction, because I know this is definitely a different kind of transaction that most people are not used to. But in this case, we're able to help the seller save the house from foreclosure, and then also provide the seller with $40,000 of profit inside of the deal, while we are able to benefit from cash flow appreciation and depreciation. Let's hear what she had to say about the deal.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I just closed on a house that I've owned for 15 years with Sawan. It was amazing and entirely easy and very reliable, very informative. I can't wait for the new family that moves in there to love it as much as I did.
What you guys think about that, man? Welcome to this series. We're talking about some of our rental properties that we hold in our portfolio and the performance that they've had over time. And I'm just sharing with you the performance, how much money we've made, some of the hurdles that we've had to cross, and then also kind of how we found the deal and things like that. So that way you guys can learn from my experience and do the same thing for yourself. Okay, now these are really easy instructions if you sit down, look at the big picture, write down the instruction that we give you in the video and implement yourself. So let's go ahead and get into this. Now, this is a deal that I have right here in Greensboro that we purchased subject to. So essentially that's how we purchased it, is subject to leaving the mortgage in place. And so let's talk about the first piece, is how we found the deal. Okay, that's always a big piece, is how we found the deal. Now, at this point, we're working with one of our students. You guys got a chance to meet Anthony in one of our other videos, Anthony Curtis, and Anthony had ran across this deal. Now, before he got it under contract, what I typically do with students is we'll look at the deal together. We'll look at comps together. We will look at the condition of the property together. And we'll also try to come up with some kind of strategy to make money on the deal together. And now he thought it was a good deal at what the seller wanted originally. It was some high price. I can't remember exactly. I want to say it was like $140,000. And I was like, yo, Anthony, I don't think it's going to sell for that. He had a hunch that it would sell for that because it's in one of the best zip codes in Greensboro, literally on one of the best strips of Greensboro. And in one of the best school districts. So he was like, yo, it's a desirable neighborhood. It's definitely gonna go for that because it's gonna attract a different kind of buyer. And I was like, well, you may be kind of right, but if it doesn't, let's come up with something else. So he marketed it to his buyers for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks went by. Okay, and then he checked back in with me, says, hey man, I'm not able to sell it. I need to come up with something else. And I said, well, instead of paying $140,000, which was essentially, if I can remember correctly, was her getting $60,000 at the closing table. I was trying to explain to him, let's take over the mortgage, okay? Because she was behind a year. Not behind as in she couldn't be behind and it was gonna go into foreclosure, but remember during COVID, banks were allowing homeowners to do forbearance. And so I said, hey, Anthony, look, this is the way I can do this deal because the mortgage payments were extremely low. So since it's in this good area, right? Since it's in the good area, rent was high. Since the lady had the mortgage for, I want to say she had the mortgage for maybe 8 years. Of course, prices change over 8 years. So the mortgage was low. And so I said, hey, this is the way that we can get this lady a lump sum, right? So that way she can, go about her business, is we can give her $40,000. We can take over her payments, but the $40,000 she's not gonna get today. She's gonna get on a mirror, essentially how many ever years are left on the loan. She's gonna get that $40,000 divided by how many years are left on the loan, which I think was 22. So what we pay her is $200 a month. So I didn't even think about our exit strategy at that point. I just wanted to get him confident in making the offer to her. He ended up making an offer. He told me, bro, she's not gonna agree to this. And one thing that I've known from making offers consistently every day for the last 6 years is that you don't know what a seller is gonna agree to. And because you believe that something is better for yourself, you should not put your desires on someone else. You should always present the offer that you can do, even if it doesn't make sense for them, because you're not gonna be lying to them. Okay, this is what I told him. I'm trying to get him confident in making the offer, and I said essentially, you offering her $140,000, you lied to her. You can't commit on that promise, but I'm telling you what to offer her that you can close on. And when she says that's dumb, I can't do it, then you say, well, I'm sorry that you don't like that. I'm just offering you something I can do. All in all, she came back literally 30 minutes later. He called me back and she said, great, I'll do it. I'll do it. So she agreed to taking her $40,000 in $200 increment payments and us taking over the mortgage of $600. Okay, now here's how we analyze. Okay, so essentially at the time we took over $80,000 mortgage. Now the problem with this, like I said, she was behind a year, so she was behind almost $9,000. And the property didn't need a lot of work. Like she had tried to put some wood floors down, and she had tried to paint a little bit, so it didn't need a terrible amount of work. But it definitely was a big house. It doesn't look like a big house from the outside, but it's a big house. The rooms are, which is why we use this exit strategy that we're gonna tell you about here at the end. I needed to come up with the $9,000. I needed to come up with the first payment to her on her $40,000, $200. I also needed to come up with Anthony's assignment fee, which is $5,000. And I also need to come up with the rehab, which I think we ended up calculating at like $15,000. Okay, so all in all, I had to come up with about $25,000. Is that right? I think it's about $25,000. And so this is what I did, because my numbers still didn't work. My numbers still didn't work. I had never done this before, so I was just trying this on blind faith, like literally. I called the bank up before the closing, and I was letting them know, hey, I'm the new power of attorney for this seller. I'm helping her catch up her mortgage, and we're gonna help her make her payments on behalf so she can keep it up. If we do this, is there some kind of incentive for our program if we set up her payments on automatic draft? If we make her payments right now, is there anything that we can do, in order to, have to decrease the amount to make her loan current? And by God's grace, what they said was, well, if you make 1 month's payment, the remainder of the amount due will put on the back end of the loan. So you can just pay $689 right now. That's the $600 plus $89 of the negative escrow fee, and we'll make the payments current. So from here, you'll be making monthly payments of $689. And I said, cool, that works. And the lady on the phone, she said, well, also remember that the forbearance period doesn't end for another 2 months. Magic started to happen right here. Okay, forbearance once again is a agreed upon time period that the seller does not have to make payments. For her, it was 12 months. Okay, and at this point, it was 10 months. So she still had 2 months where she didn't have to make those payments. So you see how the magic is coming in? So I'm about to buy this house with no payments for 2 months. Okay, now I still have a problem because I still need to get like the rehab money. I still need to get Anthony's fee. What I end up doing is I end up calling some business partners. Okay, now rent in the area at the time. Okay, I didn't fix the property all the way up, just to be honest. So I either knew I was gonna do a lease option. Now between the $689, the $200 to the seller, I didn't have a lot of room, because if you do the math, that's already $889, and if rent is $1150, it's not a lot of room. So I was trying to figure out how I was gonna make this work out. And the way you can get a lower monthly payment with your private money person is throwing out some interest only terms, okay, or throwing out equity. What I decided to do was throw in a little mix of both, okay? I decided to throw out some terms of interest only payments on $20,000, okay, and then 10% equity. So Ian popped up and said, yo, I'll give you the $20,000. You can pay me the interest only payments. And whenever we sell, it doesn't matter if it's 5 years, 10 years, 30 years from now, I'm gonna get paid my original $20,000 back first. I would have been collecting monthly payments every single month up until that time period. And I'm gonna take 10% of the net profits. That's what we end up agreeing to. So I got my $689, the $200 to the seller, and I got my $150 to Ian. I'm into a property. I own a property with no money. Okay, I got paid a $3,000 fee to buy this house, but I'm not necessarily making any money monthly. Okay, I also have 2 months of no payments. Okay, so I need to figure out, I need to get me somebody in here paying me rent. So I put it up, I have the guys, I have Mr. Ricky Summers go over and get the paint done, you know what I mean? And all while I'm trying to figure out, am I renting this thing normally or am I doing a lease option? You know, or what? I thought a lease option would be best because I wouldn't have any maintenance expense in a lease option, right? And so I put it up for lease option, you know, $6,000 down. They pay $1,150 a month for X amount of time, you know, for 36 months, and then they bring their own loan. So I had 2 big showings. I had 20 people out on each showing. Nobody agreed. I'm like, yo, what in the world? Now, when I had both showings, one lady popped up to both showings. Now, she said she did not want to do a lease to own. She wanted to just rent it. You know, in order for me to rent to her, you know, once again, I would still be responsible for the maintenance. And she explained to me that she wanted to start her first group home company. In college, I had this, you know, I had this dream of starting Mending Men. That was our LLC that me and my boy Ja put together. You know, it was, we thought, hey, let's help men who get out of jail, right? They need a halfway house. They need a place to stay. We'll help them get their accounts up. You know, we'll help them find a job, and we'll give them some stability. And the government, Fed and state, will pay for this, you know, for X amount of time. And so when she explained her vision was exactly like my vision, when we was in college, I said, yo, we got a partner on this group home thing. And what we agreed to was essentially the group home business is separate than the rental business. So the group home business pays our rental business a guaranteed $1,350. $1,350. And now you would probably say, well, why is she paying more than you thought you could get in rent? Well, think about this. People who live in a house, they're on a restricted budget because they have to go outside of the house, make their money, and then bring that money back into the house to pay their bills. People who use a rental house for business, they don't make any money unless they have a rental house for their business. And so she was willing to pay a little bit more than market rent, so that way I can make some money, you know, but also so she could put the deal together. And so we've been getting $1,350. So at this point, we've had this property now for 25 months. Okay, so last year was our anniversary with this. So 25 months. Okay, it took us 2 months out of that to rehab the property. So 23 months has been rented times $1,350. This house has bought us $31,000, okay, just on the rental side of the business. $31,000 over the last 2 years. Essentially, net cash flow for us is probably about $325 every single month. Now, like I said, the beautiful part is I got a partner to fund the deal for me that paid us to buy it. The seller was willing to, you know, negotiate with the seller. So she's taking her payments over time. We was able to take over the debt so we can get a good fixed interest rate. And then also, one of our students was able to do his second, because we did 2 subject to deals with Anthony. He was able to do his second subject to deal, right? Think about that. So as you guys are looking at deals, okay, I want you to start thinking about, number one, how can you make money with other investors, okay? Because that's one thing I'm commonly looking at. Number 2 is how can you help the seller by providing multiple options, not just a cash option, not just referring it to your realtor, but also if they have a mortgage, hey, would you consider, allowing me to give you cash outside of your loan and take over your payments? If their house is paid off, would you consider taking your profits over time? But this has been another share of one of my rental properties here in Greensboro, and how we've done over the last 25 months, $31,000, $1,350 in rent. And this is one of our group homes out of the 3. So if you guys like this video, definitely share. Definitely like and subscribe. We drop a video here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And look, remember, you don't need all 3 to do a deal. You just need 2 to do you. Peace, y'all.